Whoa! Yo, this tree's killing it. Good job, tree. One bucket down, 2,100 to go.
You won't get any sap out of a white ash tree and try to drill it.
All right, every season up here in the Adirondacks, the weather pretty much forces you to do something completely different. Right now it's winter, so we're not really building outside. We're not doing a lot of hiking. We're not doing a lot of fishing. But what it is March. And March is pretty much the beginning or somewhere in the middle, depending on the year, the beginning of maple syrup season. And one thing that I've been wanting to do for the last few years since I've moved up here towards the Adirondacks is to go maple syruping, to go collect some maple syrup. My neighbor across the street, he's been maple syruping, I don't even know what to say. I gotta ask him. I'm new at this, guys. He's been a maple syrup farmer his entire life. They had a massive sugar bush back on the mountain. And just the other day, he gave me a pair of his father's snowshoes. They were made in '92. The deer hide is actually a deer that he got himself, and his dad actually made these. So this is like family heirloom, and he passed them on to me. He said, if we're gonna start doing some maple syrup and hanging some buckets, you have to do them with some original Adirondack snowshoes. I do have a pair of snowshoes, but I think these are gonna be the only ones I use when I'm actually going to collect the buckets and stuff. We'll use the other ones for the hikes. These are gonna be like lightly used. But I gotta head across the street, walk back to the sugar bush, go collect the buckets, and then learn how the heck and what the heck we're gonna be doing in collecting syrup. You know, syrup's gonna start flowing, temperatures are gonna start going up, so we gotta tap these trees. I just got over to my neighbor's house. It looks like he's ready to go syruping too. I'm guessing his dad also made these. They were also made in '92. So I don't know what I necessarily need to do to tap trees. Rick's gonna teach me everything that I'm supposed to know, but we have to walk back to the sugar bush where they used to boil the syrup and get the spiles, the buckets, the covers, and whatever else that he has on his list that we need. So we're gonna snowshoe back there, go get all the supplies, and then I have to learn how to identify maple trees correctly so that I know I'm actually tapping the right thing, because we don't want birch sap or some other type of sap. We want maple syrup. So we gotta identify the right trees.
I got one cracked frame out of snowshoe here.
Oh, yours is?
Yeah.
All right, we got all the supplies from the sugar bush. Rick had me carry the pack basket just because it was heavy and I didn't want him to carry it. But the first step in trying to find maple syrup is finding the right trees. As we've been walking down here, Rick's been identifying and helping me just kind of pick out which trees might be maples, what trees might be birches. So at this point, we found our first maple right here that we're gonna tap. So now Rick's gonna show me how to do that, put the spile in. We're gonna put the spile in, and then at that point, I'm guessing it's just gonna be hanging a bucket and then waiting for the tree to do what it's supposed to do.
Okay, so you see the scaly bark here. So when you drill a hole, you can just knock some of that scale off. And you take the bracing bit, you put it on a slight incline because you want the sap to run out of the tree. Lean into it.
How do you know how far to go in?
You go in about 2 1/4 inches.
Okay.
So if you look at the length of the bit, that's about it right there.
How many taps do you typically do in a year when you were running syrup, Rick?
First year we did probably 200, 225, and that was all with a bracing bit. And then at the end we were doing, well, at the height probably 2100, and by then we were using a cordless drill. We also had a power drill that was like a chainsaw with a gasoline engine, and that thing was awful to try to run. You take a little twig and kind of clean some of the sawdust out of the hole. Better twig than that. Can't see anymore, I'm blind. That's not very deep. I'll run that in a little farther. Yeah, about where the flute ends, that's probably 1.5 or 1 3/4.
These guys.
Yeah, I need a wire. Okay, the hook is where the pail will hang. Put this through that loop. Now it was 3 below zero this morning, so if you try to drive this in, it's like a wedge, and it will split the tree.
Down lower. Right.
I told you I was blind. So you want this straight up and down. If you drive it in too far, it'll split the tree, and then the sap will run out the crack. It won't run out the spile. And it's just it's a feel and a sound. You listen to it go clink, clink to a clunk, and then you know you're there, and then you can wiggle it just to make sure. Goes like that. Give me a lid. The lid just snaps on like that. That keeps the rain and any dirt and dust from going in there. You don't want rain going in it, of course, because that's just water you'd have to boil away to get rid of. So. And that's it until it starts running.
One bucket down, 2,100 to go. No, we're only doing 6.
There's an old, see that piece of metal right there?
Yeah.
I would guess that was from a barrel, a wooden barrel. Probably that they used for making syrup 150 years ago or whatever. So these trees haven't been tapped in 100 years or better. So they're old holes are way deep inside them if they were ever tapped. But you think about a tree in the wintertime and the springtime, and the warmest part of the tree is going to be the south or the southwest part of the tree. So if you're hanging buckets, it's not going to make any difference, but that's the part of the tree that would warm up the best during the day. You'd get the most sap out of. But for these purposes, for 6 buckets, it doesn't really matter. So I'd say we'll put one here and one there. This tree is big enough, it's 24 inches diameter, so that can take 2 buckets. We'll put one here and one there. So if you want to go start drilling holes. Yeah, just get the worst of the sawdust out of there, wood chips. You'll feel it.
You'd have a hole. There you go.
All right, but remember later, don't drill into a divot like that, because you might not be able to hang the bucket on there. Another hole.
Woo! And now, does this one matter in reference to this hole?
No.
Like, do you want to always go on the other side, or?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't put them right
Next to each
next to each other. Okay, take a picture of the bark on this tree. This is a white ash.
This one's a white ash.
And then take a picture of that one, which is a hard maple.
And that's a hard maple.
Yep. You won't get any sap out of a white ash tree. So don't even try to drill it. I used to count how many turns it took the Bryce and Vet to drill the hole. I think it was 44 or something like that. When you put out 220 buckets, that was a lot. That was a lot of drilling, a lot of work, carrying buckets around.
There's already sap coming out, Rick.
Yep, that's what I like to see.
What? Wow. Now I just want to keep tapping trees. I can see how you ended up with 2,000. All the starting work at this point is done. All we have to do is wait for the temperature to go up during the day, cold nights, and the sap will start running. So for the next few weeks, I'm going to be checking these buckets pretty much every day and dumping them out. I don't know how much we're gonna get this season. I'm just excited to even get started, start learning about maple syruping, the history of it. And I gotta say, I have one of the best teachers out there in Rick, because man, he's been doing this for like 50 years. We'll come back to the top of the mountain tomorrow and check out the syrup buckets. All right, it's day 2 of maple syruping. I'm so learning so much in the last 3 days. Rick is just pouring information in my head. He told me to go buy a new garbage can that I could pour all the sap into, because I don't have a proper evaporator. I don't have a proper collection system. I don't have a way to boil this stuff. We are completely just figuring it out this year. I really hope that in the next few years, I'll be able to build a small little sugar bush area, get a nice little evaporator, build a little shed, and then we can have like a small little fun, maple syrup production thing. Right now though, we're starting with just a plastic bucket and old metal cans that Rick's family had. Today is it's gonna be a rainy day almost all day, which is really weird for March. Usually we're still getting snow. But from what I'm learning is you want cold nights below freezing and you want warm days, and that's when the sap's gonna run. Rick told me that pretty much if you think it's gonna be a good day, the trees probably think it's a good day. I think this morning's a good morning, so we're gonna go check on the buckets and grab what we can. And then I wanna see what happens over the next 24 hours while it's raining, because another thing Rick told me was that sometimes the trees won't run during rain or wind. I don't know, but I got a logbook. I'm tracking every single day as of 3 days ago, so I can, every year try to see when the sap starts running, what type of weather and things have been better or not. Yeah, we're just kind of trying to figure it out. So I'm gonna go see what's in the buckets. I'm predicting about 1/4 of a bucket for each one. I think that's what we're gonna end up with. Well, that one had about 1/4 in it. I can't tell you how exciting it is to just pour that sap into that bucket, and somehow this clear liquid that literally looks like flowing water is gonna eventually turn into the maple syrup that we all love on our pancakes and breakfasts and coffee and... Ooh, it's so slippery because we're in that spring starts time where the rain comes and it melts out that base, and then you just end up with all the ice that's on the ground. I don't know what the best solution is at this point to how to collect the sap, because the truck's parked right here and the buckets are that direction, like, I don't know, probably 600 feet or so. I don't really want to carry this bucket out there. I should probably start working on some type of solution of a smaller bucket, or like one of those like jet sleds that I can just pull on the top of the snow and just put the buckets in there and bring it back to the truck. Because otherwise I'm gonna end up doing a lot of walking to get these buckets and not drop anything. Because every drop of sap we miss. I mean, I think Rick said it was 40-1 on sap to syrup. So we don't want to miss any bit, because that's just gonna be more lost syrup. I also didn't bring the snowshoes today because the ground is so hard. Bucket number 1. Oh, I can hear stuff in there. Oh yeah, that one's got more than the other one. Holy crud. This tree's not running as good, but it is currently dripping. So we're running a slow drip today. Whoa. That is just too cool. Well, we got 4 buckets down, counting the one all the way in the front. I put that bucket that we first went to all the way by the house, because these buckets are a lot harder to get to, and I figured if that one's running down by the house, these up here are probably running, and then it saves me the trip of having to always come up and check these. So that's why we have 1 bucket down by the house. Whoa! This one's got a lot. Yo, this tree's killing it. Good job, tree. Wow, you're a big one too. Yeah, this tree, man, it's a good tree. Ooh, and it did not disappoint. See if it's, yeah, it's dripping. Slowly dripping right now. Now I think what I'm gonna do is, for now, pour the buckets into other buckets and then just carry one back. I do need to find a better solution, because I'm gonna be dripping the sap on the ground while I'm running back and forth, and that's not a great solution. Or maybe I run back and grab a second bucket, and then we just, I don't know, I'll figure something out. We're learning here. All right, so my plan of filling up the buckets is not gonna work, because I only did 2 buckets and we already filled it.
Which is a great problem to have. All right, let's get this one back to the truck. First bucket dumped. So,
I think we've got enough for 1 pancake right now. Just one pancake. All 6 buckets are checked. They're reset. We're gonna just have to, I don't know, find out how much 7 taps will get me in 1 year. We did start right in the beginning of the season, so I will get a full maple syrup season this year. No one knows how long it will be because it's all dependent on the weather, but we're gonna have some fun. And this is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time. So, I mean, waking up every morning and going on a walk out in the woods like this to go check the buckets, that's like the best morning walk and coffee ever. But you get to go make some maple syrup, or at least collect sap. Then we gotta boil to make syrup.
pour it in, right? There's nothing fancy to it?
Yeah.
I guess once the bucket gets light, maybe we'll just dump it.
We've got the sap filtered. We just filtered it inside, and I just assembled this partially assembled furnace, which really what they meant was I have to put every single bolt and screw together and put this whole thing together, and they just threw it in a box. But we finally got that together, and now I just have to get the sap from inside. We're gonna start boiling it, and it's pretty much apparently as easy as just evaporating water off and wait until it gets down to a syrup content. So it doesn't like spoil it.
Doesn't hurt anything.
It just, yeah. It's been officially boiling for, it's 3 o'clock or 3:30, about 2 hours. We've been boiling for about 2 hours.
It's reduced down a lot, actually. It's kind of hard to explain. I would say probably like 6 inches, and it's probably got about 3 inches left, but you can already tell like the color's starting to change. There is clearly less water in there, and we're starting to get down to where I guess it's going to turn into syrup again.
I literally just grabbed my camera because it's boiled down to about 1/2 inch, and I was just starting to freak out because Rick's not here. And then Rick just pulled in to save the day. So thank you, Rick, because I was literally just starting to freak out.
I just told Lynn we finished the second game of 313, and I said I gotta go over and make sure they're not burning syrup.
Yeah, I didn't want to start a sugar fire. I've heard about those before.
Yeah. That's good. That looks great.
That looks good?
Yeah. Yeah, once it's chilled down to garage temperature, just put your saran wrap on it, put it in the refrigerator, and wait for more sap.
At this point, it's pretty much just me collecting more sap. I've got the bucket pretty much boiled down. We've got maybe a pint in there at this point, but we're gonna have to just wait for the sap to start running, wait for some warmer days. I've got some paper filters so that when we're ready to go and finalize this sap and make it into syrup and then bottle it up, I've got the filters to get all the nitrate out and everything like that. Rick's been teaching me about that next step. But this is pretty much as far as we're gonna go at this point. We've still got about 3 weeks, hopefully 4 left of the maple syrup season. So I'll make sure to update you guys on how much we end up with this season. But with 7 buckets, I have absolutely no clue. I just wanna say thank you to Rick for just sharing all this information with myself and all of you guys out there. I know that he was really interested in sharing all the knowledge he has from his family and just letting me film it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and you learned something from Rick and just the experience that I've already gone through. But I just wanna say thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.